So I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. My parents had four sons, and I was the baby boy. My father told me early on, he said, "Son, you have expensive tastes. Whatever you do, you better make a lot of money." So growing up in Michigan was pretty much like you've heard, especially in Detroit. So um, I figured out early on that I needed to get an education and change my environment. And while my parents certainly took the initiative to, you know, entrepreneurship in the traditional aspect, and did take us from Detroit to Southfield, which was a upgrade, if you will. I just knew that if I didn't change my surroundings, I could be a statistic. Well, yeah, I had a paper route, to begin with, and wash cars, cut lawns, because I understood that money makes the world go round, and my father was very clear that he had his money, and he expected me to have mine. The work ethic was instilled in me, watching my parents go to work and run their businesses. My first company was actually TechCom Pest Control. We met a gentleman that assured me that he could take care of a problem that we were experiencing with one of our buildings, and we had Orkin, and they were still having a challenge. He came in, got rid of them. I said, I need to partner with you, and that's what formed TechCom Pest Control. So what we brought to the market was not just, you know, advertising and so forth. We actually got results. And so my clients were very happy, as was I. My next business was casino limousine service. We were a little ahead of our time. This was back when Mayor Young was talking about bringing the casinos in, and that never materialized under his leadership. But we were looking to be progressive, so we had Casino Limousine. So with Casino Limousine, we were able to establish a working relationship with one of the hotels that would allow for us to have our marketing materials throughout the hotel, and any of the clients that wanted to utilize a limousine, we would often get calls from them. Then we also put together concert packages that allow for us to be able to not only get them to the event with style, but also be able to take them back. We had package deals that included the tickets and so forth. I got into the adult foster care business. Adult foster care is where we would take care of clients anywhere from 18 to 80 that had, they were generally duly diagnosed. Either they had some drug and or alcohol, as well as some type of schizophrenic, that type of thing. So we were responsible for housing them, providing them with the medication that they would need so that they could, in essence, be stabilized. And the ideal goal was to transition them from a adult foster care environment and getting them back to being independent. I got interested in this because I had some prior experience working with my parents in that capacity. And you have to have patience and a willingness to give, and so it was a good fit at the time. So from there, I was actually, when I was in the adult foster care, I co-founded the Wayne County Providers Committee, and we used to go out to Lansing and lobby on behalf of the clients, because the revenue that they were paying us to house the clients at that time was less than some of the kennels were getting to take care of dogs and so forth. And so we used to use that comparison a lot. And then with the AIDS epidemic, they started asking that we use gloves and some other procedures, which we were, understanding and had no problem doing. We were just asking for the funding to come along with that. And the funding didn't come along with that. And so I started thinking about, what my exit strategy would be. And that's when I got introduced to Buffalo Wild Wings friend of mine, we were out visiting his mother in Columbus, Ohio, and saw the Buffalo Wild Wings was just packed. And so then about 6 months or so, we went back to a different Buffalo Wild Wings. It was packed. And so I said to him, hey, we need to bring this to Michigan. Yeah. So Buffalo Wild Wings, that was a major accomplishment because we had a lot of challenges going through that process of getting zoning, getting licensed, and the planning committee had expressed some concerns about having another location that allowed for college students to drink at. And so they put some stipulations on us to allow for us to get that done, but we did get it done. And it was actually the largest Buffalo Wild Wings in the entire chain. In fact, they limited to 6,500 square feet initially, and I had a first right of refusal to go with the additional 3,500 square feet, and that was a 6-month right of refusal. Within 4 months, we were actually expanding the restaurant to accommodate the demand. So it was a huge success, and it's still there today doing millions of dollars right across the street from Michigan State University. And then from that success, we opened a second location over in Southfield, right across from the Southfield Police Department on 10 Mile and Evergreen. And that, again, huge success. We had lines out of the door, and just were happy to be able to have the two largest in the chain nationally, and actually 2 of the top 5 grossing. Well, I had a chance to meet a lot of celebrities. Andre Agassi, Magic Johnson used to come into our restaurant quite frequently. Barry Sanders from the Lions. This is kind of dating myself, but if you remember the show Benson, had an opportunity to meet him. Patti LaBelle, Sugar Ray Leonard, Alfonso from Fresh Prince. Had a lot of success, and some of the regrets is probably opening a second location too soon, because as I opened that second location, it wasn't as though my work doubled, it was though it quadrupled. It grows exponentially. So not only do you have to deal with the employees, but you also have to have the managers, and that's where, I've transitioned from the non-traditional, because working with employees can be challenging. So we had 120 employees, roughly about 60 at each location. When I opened the second location, it wasn't as though the work doubled, it quadrupled. And the level of stress went up accordingly. And I remember having a conversation with my mother, and she said, son, hard work won't kill you, but stress will. And I was stressed out. And I never forgot that, and as I said, started putting an exit strategy together once I realized having to depend on employees to have that success. And there's a certain amount that you can pay in a restaurant business, and if you pay too much, it affects your profit margins. And so you get what you pay for, so to speak. I started developing an exit strategy because I could see that the level of stress was going to take its toll on me in terms of, my health. And there's a saying that all money isn't good money. And I felt as though I didn't own the business owned me. So I had sold the company, and I knew that if I didn't leave, I would be stuck in Michigan, because inevitably somebody would come to me with another project. And I remember sitting in the driveway. I had warmed my car up. I went and got in the car and had one of those bone-chilling and I got upset, because I remember this clear as day. And I said, there is no reason to live somewhere where the weather is getting you upset like this. So I looked for, in fact, I went out to Florida, and California were really my two options. And Florida turned out to be a little too humid, and I ended up going out to San Diego. So in San Diego, I ended up looking for a way to get back to the six figures without having to deal with employees. At the time, the IT industry, information technology, was booming. So I went down the Microsoft track. I'm a Microsoft certified systems engineer, Microsoft certified trainer, and started working during the day as an engineer. And then I was teaching over at National University, teaching people how to get their engineering certification. So between the two positions, I was blessed to be able to get back to the type of income I was used to. So the challenge there was that I was working from 6 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon as an engineer. I would drive, take a nap, and then go to National University, and I was teaching 4 nights a week from 5 to 10. So I literally was working from sun up to sundown. And when the annual review came up, they said, Murph, 25 is the highest you could score, and you scored a 25. So I left out of there feeling like $1,000,000, had that sense of job security. And then 3 months later, they called me back in that very office and said, hey, business is taking a downturn. We're going to have to lay you off. And it took me 6 long months before I could find another position as an engineer. And I remember going through that process and making a promise to myself that never again would I allow someone to be in control of my financial future. So I started praying for something. It's interesting, I tell people that sometimes what we're praying for doesn't show up in the gift wrapping that we would expect. And certainly that was the case for me with Legal Shield. I had been approached through my endeavors with all types of, hey, do this, juice, lotions, potions, vitamins, coffee. And I just always had said no. But when someone introduced me to Legal Shield, and I understood the services that they provided, I thought to myself how many times I could have personally benefited from the service, as well as how my businesses could have benefited. And when I understood their business model, the fact that I could in essence have franchises all throughout the United States and 4 provinces of Canada without the overhead that I was used to having to do in a traditional business, it resonated with me. And so I got involved, and by following the mentors and the coaches that we had in a proven system, within 6 months, I was able to reduce my teaching schedule from 4 nights a week down to 2 nights a week. Then about 16 months later, I was able to leave the engineering position that I had. And as of March of 2004, so for the last 13 years, I've been job-free due to the Legal Shield opportunity. So what brought me to Vegas, I actually came out here on Legal Shield business. We were doing a private business reception, and I was in residential areas for the first time. Even though I had been coming to Vegas pretty much every year since I was 16, I looked at what I could sell my home for and actually have a home built here and be in a warmer climate, because in San Diego, when the sun goes down, the temperature goes down with it. In Nevada, we have beautiful spring and summer nights that just resonate with me. And so I made the decision to move to Vegas, and I've had no regrets. I eventually got to a point where I could get a yacht, and I wanted to name the yacht after my mother. So I brought her along with her best friend and her husband, and was able to show her the yacht that was named after her, and the gifts that I was able to give to her. And it was just a way of saying, thank you for all that she had done for me and always being there for me. The reason that I'm so passionate about Legal Shield is the fact that, one, we don't have any competition. The services that we provide, the way that we provide those services, allows for us to provide a service that is not marked up, it's actually marked down. Nobody would argue that attorneys are $300-400 an hour. And so because of our collective buying power, we're able to drive those prices down to where they're very affordable for individuals, families, and business owners. And so it provides the leveraged income that I had been looking for in the traditional business, except for I don't have employees, I have business partners. And those business partners don't work for me, they work with me. And over the last 15 years, I've been blessed to be with a company that I know is going to be here today as well as into the decades to come, and have had several people pour into me. And I feel obligated to give back to those individuals that are looking for something that will allow for them to have the leverage in their life, to have a noble cause, that they can feel good, that they're helping and empowering people.
Changed at all?
Well, the principles of the industry have not changed, but what's been interesting is to watch so many companies come and go, be it the amazing juice or the pills or the travel, the coffee, now it's wine. And, over my 15-year tenure, to watch people get distracted by these startup companies that, promise the world. But if you're not going to be there 3 to 5 years from now, you can promise them anything. And so what has changed is just the names of the companies that come and go. There's a gentleman out of Michigan that was in his 60s that was in the insurance industry and found out about Legal Shield and said, well, how do you make the big money? I explained to him that, it ranges anywhere from, $60, $70 all the way up to over $300. And he said, well, what's the 300? I said, that's executive director. And he said, well, how long does it take to get to executive director? And I said, well, it varies, but he made a goal to go executive director in 5 months. And through the systems that we have in place and him being coachable, 5 months later, we were celebrating him as the newest executive director with Legal Shield. Then there was a gentleman that was 24 years old that ran into me. I was driving the drop-top Mercedes, and he said, how do I get one of those? And we laughed about it, and I explained to him what we did, and he said that he wanted to go executive. I explained the story about the gentleman out in Michigan, and he said he was 24. So he said, if that old guy can do it in 5 months, I'll do it in 3 months. And 3 months later, we were celebrating him as the newest executive director with Legal Shield.
What is an executive director?
An executive director is someone that has a team that is working with them generally. They can become an executive director themselves by marketing 50 memberships a month, but this is someone that built an organization, and they did over 50 memberships in that month after they have the structure in place. But that gentleman, after doing that in 3 months, there was a gentleman that was a Marine in San Diego, and he was 27, and he found out the gentleman that did it in 3 months. Marines are competitive, as you know, and he set a goal for 2 months to go executive director, and he didn't make it in 2 months. He did it in 7 weeks. So those are some of the success stories that I've been fortunate to be a part of and proud of. So an executive director can make as much as $6,000, $8,000, $9,000 or more a month, depending on how much business goes through their organization and how their organization is structured. So I'm at a point in my life where I'm looking for someone that wants to leverage my business background, my experience with Legal Shield, and allow for me to coach and mentor them through a proven system. If you know someone that possesses 3 qualities: a willingness to work, meaning that they can not just want to change, but are willing to do the work necessary; have a burning desire, meaning that they want some change in their life; and are coachable, that they can follow a proven step-by-step system, then please encourage them to take the next step and contact me so that I can start them on a path of success with Legal Shield. Legal Shield has been life-changing for me. I'm looking for someone that this could be life-changing for as well. If you know that person, have them simply click on the contact button here on the website, and I look forward to helping them start a path of success with Legal Shield. Yeah, I know.
Try and talk about
And my brain is going all back there, man.
Let's start that out with that sentence. Yeah, we'll call this Please Young, Dumb, and You Know the Rest.